Let's talk about highlights from the first day of Chiefs training camp. With pads on, a time in which the boys certainly become men, take a look at some standout players, including someone who is seeming to make a legitimate claim for the wide receiver 5 spot, then hear from Coach Reid, Travis Kelce, and much freaking more. But first, how about those? What's up, guys? My name is Cole, aka the bearded chancellor of all things Chiefs, or sometimes known simply as the red bearded wonder, and I do daily news about the Kansas City Chiefs. So make sure to sub if you haven't already for some of the most thorough Chiefs coverage on the platform, like this video, if you're ready for Skyy Moore to go all the way off this season. And let's get into this video, starting with this exciting news that my wife and I have been working on for a while here, and that is we have merch finally available for purchase. That's right, I have several t-shirts, including one that says Redbeard, another one that of course says let's freaking go, a classic logo tee like I'm wearing, ladies tank tops, and I couldn't forget to include a coffee tumbler for all the caffeine addicts out there like me. Many of you have been asking for merch for a while now and for other ways that you can support the channel, and this is a great way to be able to do that and get something back in return. So if interested, just go to merch.hbtchiefs.com or click the link in the description. And as a special offer, the first 10 orders from this video will also receive a complimentary beard hair. All right, enough of the promo stuff. Let's get into this freaking news, starting today with an injury report, which features the 3 players on the PUP list, Rashad Fenton, Prince Tega Wanogho, and Lucas Niang, with an additional guest featured, tight end Jody Fortson, who did not dress in pads today nor participate, although he was there. He has a minor quad strain injury that was sustained on Saturday, which Andy Reid confirmed today as something indeed rather minor.
As far as the injuries go, Jody Fortson is the only one that we didn't have time to update you on. He's got a quad strain. Doesn't look too bad at all. I mean, he's swinging right back into it, and I think it'll be a few days and get him back out there.
Teammate Travis Kelce is also excited for Jody Fortson to get back out there, sharing how he's seen him continue to get better and progress within the offense.
And he's getting better. You know, as he grows and gets his body back into you know, the endurance that you need as a football player, as we all do. He just tweaked something the other day, I believe, and he'll be back out there working his tail off as we know Jody does.
And on the subject of tweaking something, no, we're not talking about drug addicts. We're talking about a scare from QB1 near the end of practice that actually involved Patrick Mahomes on one of the last reps of the team portion of practice, in which Pete Sweeney noted in detail on his podcast today.
It appeared to me like Justin Reid came down on almost what was a blitz on the left side, and offensive linemen were backed up into Mahomes and stepped on his, appeared to be his left ankle. Mahomes quickly jogged off the field and really had a limp about him, went into the trainer's tent, and then came out with tape on his left ankle. This was toward the end of practice, so we didn't see him get back in with scrimmages, but he was gingerly moving and doing individual drills. After practice, head coach Andy Reid said that he was stepped on. He's okay.
Yeah, he got stepped. He's okay. Yeah, he's all right. Yeah.
So you stepped on him?
Yeah, offensive lineman got pushed back.
So what we anticipate is him to be back on the field tomorrow. I would imagine he'll have some type of wrap supporting what would be a tweaked ankle, but I don't anticipate him missing any practice time.
So yeah, that's a bit scary when your $500 million QB gets stepped on and walks over a bit gingerly to the medical tent. You never enjoy seeing him go to the medical tent. I don't care if it's for some bug spray because the mosquitoes won't leave him alone. You never like to see Patrick Mahomes heading towards that freaking tent. Anyway, I'm glad the issue seems to be minor, as Adam Teicher got a chance to speak with Mahomes himself after practice, and Patrick said this: "I just got stepped on pretty hard, so I'm sure I'll get a little bit of a scratch and a bruise on there, but luckily it wasn't any of the ankle or anything like that." So yes, this thankfully seems to be something very minor, with little to no setback from Mahomes whatsoever, and it was pretty much confirmed because he was seen doing reps after that in the final QB drills, stretching after practice, and was even out there getting his jog on with the other QBs, so good news indeed. From here, though, let's talk offensive line, because there was some pretty good news today when Robert Griffin III tweeted this out this morning. Breaking: Orlando Brown Jr. will report to Chiefs camp today and play on the franchise tag. Sources close to Brown say he is in the best shape of his life and knows how important the first 5 days of pads are for him, the team, and to head coach Andy Reid. Mahomes gets his left tackle back. So great freaking news there about Orlando Brown Jr. And this is something I've been saying will happen because Orlando has no choice but to sign his tag in order to make money, and it does him zero good in his relationship with the team to miss padded practices at training camp. He did not practice today, however, as he actually wasn't there yet, but he also still needs to sign his tag, as well as pass a physical and a conditioning test, but since he's in the best shape of his life, it should be no problem, right? And once Orlando signs, I want to note this, the Chiefs will also have to wave somebody goodbye from the 90-man roster, which will more than likely be one of the new linemen they recently signed within the past 7-8 days or so. And let's keep the Orlando train moving here because Andy Reid was asked today when exactly he expected Brown to arrive, and his answer was a good one.
I haven't seen him. You know, when the fish is in the boat, then I'll let you know.
When the fish is in the boat, I'll let you know. Well, thank you, Coach Reid. We certainly do appreciate that. Later after these pressers, Sam McDowell confirmed that Orlando Brown Jr. did indeed arrive in St. Joseph for Chiefs camp. So it appears the fish is indeed in the boat, or at the very least, swimming little circles around it, and we may very well see him at practice tomorrow. It's pretty critical Brown gets in the mix ASAP because he's basically been working on his own since the AFC Championship game ended. He will need to get acclimated with the new plays, lingo, etc., get back into the groove of things with the teammates, specifically Joe Thuney and Creed Humphrey over there, and get up to game speed because it's a whole different speed when you got the helmet and the pads on. And he has approximately 13 days to do all that before the Chiefs preseason game, so chop freaking chop. Travis Kelce is certainly someone that is glad to have Big O back protecting Mahomes' blind side and is ready for him to get in the mix with the team.
And everybody in this building loves Big O. Hopefully we get him here and get him acclimated as soon as possible. We know it's definitely been a little bit different of a just locker room. You know, it's such a big dude, such a big personality, man. Brings a lot of life to the group, so we'll be happy to have him back.
I do want to note that in Orlando's absence today, however, Roderick Johnson was seen again at left tackle and Andrew Wiley at right tackle to start things out today. It looks like that even though Roderick will now move aside for Orlando Brown Jr., the Chiefs are continuing to look to Roderick as a secondary backup for Brown or a dependable swing tackle at the very least. Definitely something worth noting. And on the subject of things to note, get your little crime-solving notebook out for this one, Sherlock, because Chiefs cornerback Chris Lammons' court date was today, and in case you forgot, this is the guy who was connected with Saints running back Alvin Kamara and the nightclub incident that took place the night before the Pro Bowl in which a guy got beat up pretty freaking badly, to say the least. Well, it turns out that Chris Lammons, Alvin Kamara, and a couple other guys basically jumped the guy and left him there unconscious. Not good. And of course, the guy is taking them all to court over it. So the initial court date was today, and basically it was delayed for 2 months. That's right, that's the update. Moving on. Now, basically what happened is none of the 4 defendants were in court, just their attorneys, and all the lawyers asked for a 60-day status check. Therefore, no action today. What this means, though, is that Chris Lammons may not even be facing a potential suspension for this season, and that will certainly play a potential role in the Chiefs' 53-man roster, as Lammons is a valued vet on the team, at least in regards to special teams. And here's why. Last season, Lammons saw 221 snaps on special teams, which was nearly 52% of his total snaps for the season, and was the 6th most special team snaps on the entire team. And with the turnover that's happened this season, there's been a lot, he's one of the most veteran special team players left standing. Now, to be clear, I hope Lammons gets cut and doesn't make the roster for what he did, because Lammons confirmed via security footage and the police threw the first punch on this unsuspecting guy and basically started the entire thing. So yeah, I personally think this is a bad look on the team to have this man around. But at the end of the day, the NFL is a business, and if you have people like Deshaun Massage Watson out there only potentially getting a 6-game suspension for all his madness, then someone like Lammons in comparison is a freaking cakewalk as far as PR is concerned. So as of right now, I suspect the Chiefs may very well decide to hold on to Lammons and let the legal court process play itself out, especially if it doesn't look like Lammons will face any repercussions from the league this season. I'll definitely keep you all in the loop on that one way or another. Be sure of that. From here, I want to take a look at today's practice and some observations from Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest, as well as Pete Sweeney from Arrowhead Pride. That's right, mixing between them both. Let's start with Matt Derrick, who describes today's practice outline. He says this: coaches streamlined the practice a bit, progressing quickly through the stretch, individual and installation periods before a quick 9-play team period. Patrick Mahomes connected on his first 3 passes to Jerick McKinnon, Daurice Fountain, and Juju Smith-Schuster before narrowly missing on a deep crosser route to Mecole Hardman. 2 things to note real quick. First, it looked like wide receiver Daurice Fountain and Noah Gray had more time with the first team today per Pete Sweeney. And of course, Fountain can play special teams, so that's worth keeping tabs on. And second, while Hardman did miss on that crossing route with Mahomes, I do want to show you guys this clip of Hardman practically crossing Joshua Williams' ankles on this route. Very good route and nice catch, as well as this clip here of Mecole making a leaping grab, which was a very nice splash from the man as well. Good things to note from Mecole today, certainly. Matt Derrick then makes note of backup tight end Jordan Franks, who according to Derrick, quote, has had a very solid camp thus far. Franks made a very nice juke on safety Zane Anderson on the sideline for extra yards. Next up came the 9-on-7 run period on the left practice field with the one-on-one matchups between receivers and defenders on the right field. Wide receiver Corey Coleman, another player stacking up a strong camp performance per Matt Derrick, opened with a nice catch against cornerback Najee Johnson. One of the highlights came from rookie receiver, you guessed it, Skyy Moore, who used a double move to get past cornerback L'Jarius Sneed and then made an outstretched diving catch toward the sideline. And oh yeah, we're definitely pausing here for a moment because good God almighty, look at this grab. Skyy freaking Moore just continues to show off and show out here at camp. Catch after catch after catch. Now, will he be a starter this year as wide receiver 2 or 3 or something crazy like that? I don't think so, but I will tell you this much. This man is definitely going to be seeing passes coming his way this season. Mark Redbeard's words. Matt Derrick continues saying receiver Marquez Valdez-Scantling made a nice 2-handed catch above his head against cornerback Trent McDuffie, and I laugh because MVS is like 6'4", and Trent McDuffie is 5'11", so he's like the bully in school that was taller than everybody holding stuff above their head. Also to note, Smith-Schuster and backup QB Shane Buechele teamed up for a nice solid back shoulder catch on the right sideline. Pete Sweeney noted that in one-on-one, some defensive standouts were DeAndre Baker, who looked better in coverage than Sweeney could remember, and in a tough drill for defenders in these one-on-ones, cornerback Jalen Watson had 2 W's, 2 wins. Also, safety Justin Reid versus tight end Travis Kelce is always a fun battle to watch. Well, yes, I bet it was. Legend versus the leader on the defense. Love that matchup. It's only going to make both of them better. Next up, the Chiefs ran a long drive period, hurry-up style, which we know helps with conditioning. Mahomes' top team offense ran 9 plays, ending with a ball bouncing out of Noah Gray's hands and somehow into the waiting arms of Juju Smith-Schuster, who raced into the end zone for the score with 4 minutes and 55 seconds left on the clock. The 2-point conversion was no good after the pass from Mahomes skipped off the turf into the hands of Moore. It took less than a minute, however, for Chad Henne to find the end zone on his drive after quick throws to running back Isaiah Pacheco and Corey Coleman and an incomplete to Fountain. Henne hit receiver Justin Watson on an inside slant, and he went off to the races, outdistancing safety Brian Cook providing support. The 2-point try here failed as well, with linebacker Jack Cochran picking off a pass intended for Fountain. All right, pause, ladies and gentlemen, because there's several things to talk about here. First off, since Isaiah Pacheco was briefly mentioned, I wanted to add that Pacheco was getting some love today, mixing in with the first team for some reps. Meanwhile, Jordan Foote had this to say about RoJo today on Twitter. It's been a very odd couple of weeks for those who had Ronald Jones as a probable member of the Chiefs 53-man roster. Out of all the battles in camp, I'm monitoring that one the most. Now, I don't read too much into snap splits with CEH being clear number 1, but Jones is getting no love. There's time left for things to change, but it's starting to turn into a pattern/trend, and those are what actually matter in training camp, not the isolated stuff. Going to be interesting to monitor. Another thing to touch on was Matt Derrick mentioning that Justin Watson caught a great TD pass from Henne today, in which he ran down the field for a quick score, but that wasn't his only touchdown of the day. Take a look at this clip here in which Justin Watson could be seen coming down with another one, and then Ron Kopp Jr. of Arrowhead Pride actually had this to say as an add-on about Watson this evening. I noticed Saturday, Watson got behind McDuffie and created separation on a vertical route, but the throw was way too far out of bounds. Could have been another long TD. Clearly wide receiver 5 right now. Did y'all hear what he just said? Clearly wide receiver 5 right now is Justin Watson. Interesting. Even though Daurice Fountain was getting some reps in with the first team today, He's noting Justin Watson as wide receiver 5. Again, I say this a lot, but something to make note of immediately, because as of today, Watson is making more noise than Josh Gordon at training camp so far. I mean, look at this clip. This is basically Josh Gordon's highlight from today. Yeah, not good, but this is a good thing for Watson, who has been relatively quiet himself for most of training camp after making several splashes earlier during OTAs. The question now is, who is standing out to the coaches? Watson, Gordon, Fountain, Powell, Coleman? I'm pretty freaking curious myself to see who it's going to be, that is for sure. Matt Derrick finishes off his notes talking about the first look in contact drills for rookie edge rusher George Karlaftis, saying he excelled in his matchups. Humphrey and left guard Joe Thuney also convincingly won their matchups, and Pete Sweeney's offensive standouts for this same drill were, again, center Creed Humphrey, then right guard Trey Smith, right tackle Darian Kennard, left guard Nick Allegretti, and then Pete Sweeney says Humphrey is just incredible. From here, Pete Sweeney notes some of the defensive standouts on the O-line, D-line 1v1s, and those players were Frank Clark, Colin Saunders, and George Karlaftis. Clark even hugged Karlaftis after a rep. So great job, George. Sweeney thinks opposing slower offensive linemen are going to have problems with Clark's speed rushes this year, and well, good. We need Frank the Shark Clark to show up this season. It's a freaking must. And Matt Derrick then mentions that another team period came next, which is where the Chiefs faced a brief scare from Mahomes that we talked about in the beginning of this video. Defensive end Frank Clark opened the period, though, with a defiant batting down of a Mahomes pass at the line of scrimmage. Cornerback DeAndre Baker also made a nice breakup of a Henne pass targeting Watson. The team finished with a special teams period, then focusing on kick returns. And it looks like Skyy Moore, Isaiah Pacheco, check. Corey Coleman and Jerry and Ely seem to be the returner candidates. But tomorrow, Dave Tobe, I believe, will speak to the media. So hopefully we get some potential clarifying answers from Uncle Dave himself. And speaking of coaches, I want to go back to something Coach Reid said today as he reminisced about his time thus far over the years with tight end Travis Kelce, who was coming up shortly after Big Red to speak to the media.
When Dorsey ended up drafting him, he and I had our little conflicts, but he's a great kid. He's got a big heart. He always has had that. And he loves to play the game. And he's grown up just a ton. I'm proud of him, the way he handles himself today.
Yeah, Kelce is undoubtedly one of the leaders on this team, both because of his elite performance on the field, but also because the leadership he brings off the field in the community and in the locker room. Kelce mentioned today how grateful he was that the Chiefs would be considerate enough to give him a pay raise this year, moving some of the money he was owed at the end of his contract to this year, and you can tell how much this organization truly means to him.
It's just another reason why I love being here, man. I've done everything I can to do things the right way, both on the field and in the community, and I'm going to continue to do that. They know that, and they know what type of player they're going to get, what type of leader they're going to get in this building. I'm just extremely appreciative of it, that they would even think about it or try and put something together, and I just, just another reason why I go out here and play my tail off for this city and this organization. I don't plan on playing anywhere else, brother. Hope the Chiefs have that in mind too.
Well, Kelce, we hope you finish your career here as well, riding off into the sunset with at least another ring, maybe 2, as you await your time to join the Hall of Fame, which will happen. He certainly is one heck of a player that we at Chiefs Kingdom are very lucky to have. What do you guys think about today's video, specifically regarding today's practice? Any standouts to you? Any major concerns? Are you happy Brown is here? Are you ready for him to sign his tag? What about Chris Lammons and that mess of a situation? Let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments down below, and let's argue about it down there maturely, like usual. Make sure to leave a bearded comment or a super thanks to potentially be featured in an upcoming vid. Like this vid if you haven't already for the algorithm push. It really helps. And then check out this video here, which is a Q&A video from Ryan Tracy of RGR. He doesn't have a beard like me, but he's way smarter than me, so you'll definitely learn some things, I promise. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?